Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bookercast, the podcast where books come to life.
And I'm so excited to dive into another amazing story with all of you.
Whether you're a bookworm or just love a good story, this is the place for you.
Every episode, we explore incredible books, talk about their stories and characters, and share insights that'll make you fall in love with reading all over again.
All right, let's not keep you waiting any longer. Get comfortable, and let's jump right into it.
Sounds good.
Welcome back, learners. Today, we'll be taking a deep dive into The Name of the Wind
The Name of the Wind.
by Patrick Rothfuss.
It's a good one.
It really is. It's considered, I think, a modern classic in the fantasy genre. And for good reason, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're going to unpack a little bit about why that is and some of the things that we love about this book.
Sounds good.
So to start, I think it's interesting how the story is structured.
Right.
The story is actually a story within a story.
Yeah.
So you have Kvothe, who is our main character.
Right.
He is recounting his life story to Devin Lloyd-Cheese, who is a chronicler.
A scribe.
A scribe, yes.
Who is trying to record Kvothe's story.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So the book starts.
It's a framing device.
Yes, exactly.
The story is framed by this interaction between the chronicler and Kvothe.
Right.
In an inn somewhere.
In an inn, right?
Yeah.
So you're introduced to Kvothe, who is like a seemingly ordinary innkeeper, but then the layers start to peel back, and you realize that he's this legendary figure, Kvothe the Bloodless, Kvothe Kingkiller.
Right, right. From the very beginning,
Yeah.
you get the sense that this is no ordinary innkeeper.
Yeah.
And then as the book progresses, we start to unpack
Yes.
how he became a legend and why he's in hiding.
Right, and it makes you wonder, what happened to bring this larger-than-life figure to these humble circumstances?
Exactly, yeah.
And so through this framing device, through the storytelling, you are, as the reader, constantly trying to discern the truth between the lines.
Absolutely.
Because, is he embellishing? Is he being truthful? Is he leaving things out?
Yeah, you always have to wonder about the reliability of the narrator,
Yeah.
especially when the narrator is as larger than life as Kvothe is.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of have to take it with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's still a compelling story.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
So his story starts with his childhood as part of this traveling troupe called the Edema Rue.
Right.
And they are, traveling performers, musicians, actors.
You're kind of like the ideal bohemian artist.
Yeah, it's almost idyllic until this tragedy strikes.
Right.
And that is the brutal murder of his troupe by the Chandrian.
Yeah, which is
It's a pivotal moment.
Yeah, it completely changes the course of his life.
Wow.
It's his hero's journey moment.
Yes.
That kind of kicks everything off.
Right, and the Chandrian are these, like, mythical boogeymen.
They're more than just villains, though.
Right.
They represent this kind of, like, primal fear.
Yeah.
This darkness that haunts Kvothe's throughout his life.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of his story is trying to figure out who they are,
Right.
what they want, and how to stop them.
Yeah, and so it forces him to grow up really fast.
Yeah.
So he ends up alone on the streets of Tarbian, which is a city that's, as unforgiving as it is vibrant.
It's a very Dickensian kind of city.
Yeah, and in Tarbian, I think you really see his resilience.
Absolutely.
He survives by his wit, his charm, his intelligence, and his budding skills in music and, and even thievery.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a survivor.
He is.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that, even in those circumstances, he never loses his thirst for knowledge.
Right.
Like, it's this burning fire within him, this drive that pushes him to seek understanding, even when, he's in these desperate times.
Yeah.
And that drive eventually leads him to the university.
The university is kind of a magical school.
Yeah, it's a place that's rumored to hold all the answers, right? All the secrets of the world.
Right.
And maybe a way for him to get his revenge against the Chandrian.
Yeah, he sees the university as a means to an end.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
the university itself is a world unto itself with its own rules, hierarchies.
Absolutely.
A very
Insular
Yeah.
world. Yeah, and it's at the university where we really start to see Kvothe's genius and his flaws emerge.
Right.
So he excels in his studies.
He's a brilliant student.
Yes.
He picks things up very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
He masters the art of sympathy, which is essentially a form of magic that allows you to manipulate energy by understanding the connections between things.
It's not just like waving a wand and making things happen.
Right.
It requires a very deep understanding of of the world and how everything is connected.
Yes, and Kvothe is, he's not afraid to push the boundaries.
He's always pushing the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sometimes leads to explosive results, literally and figuratively.
Right. Yeah.
But he's brilliant, but he's also impulsive and arrogant.
That's his downfall, really, his arrogance.
And so it's at the university that we really start to see, like, all the different aspects of his personality.
Right, and how they kind of come into conflict with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah. So far, we've got this, incredibly gifted kid, shaped by tragedy, driven by thirst for knowledge, and now he's in this world that's, alluring but also dangerous.
Right.
Could possibly go wrong.
Well, that's what we're going to find out in the rest of the book.
Yes.
The university is like almost a crucible for Kvothe, where his talents are honed and his flaws are
magnified.
Yeah, magnified.
Yeah.
So you see that in like his rivalry with Ambrose, for example.
Oh, Ambrose, right?
This wealthy, entitled student
Yes.
who seems to exist solely to antagonize Kvothe.
Yeah, it's not just like petty schoolyard squabbles either.
No.
It's like this clash of ideologies.
It's more symbolic of a larger
Yeah.
conflict between like inherited privilege and, those who strive to earn their place.
And Kvothe is very much in the latter category.
He's an outsider in that world.
Yeah. And so it fuels his determination, but it also blinds him to the consequences of his actions.
Right.
Sometimes.
He's so focused on his goals
Yeah.
that he doesn't always think about the people around him.
Like when he uses sympathy to eavesdrop.
Oh, yeah, that's a good example.
He tries to justify it like it's, the pursuit of knowledge.
Right.
But it's really a violation of privacy.
Yeah, she crosses a line there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then there's Denna.
Denna.
His love interest, I guess we could call her.
Yeah, she's a fascinating character.
So mysterious.
Yeah, very elusive.
Yeah, you never
quite know what she's thinking.
Right. She comes and goes from his life.
Yeah, she's like the wind.
Their relationship is it's almost as obsessive as his pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to figure her out.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle to him.
Yes.
And he's determined to solve it.
But it creates a lot of conflict.
Absolutely.
Frustration. And you can tell that, Kvothe really cares about her.
Right.
But you also see how his own insecurities
Yeah.
and his need to be in control
Right.
creates obstacles in the relationship.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of growing up to do
He does.
in that regard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have the Chandrian.
Right, the looming threat.
They're always there in the background.
Yeah, like a shadow hanging over him.
Like he can never quite escape his past.
Right, the trauma of losing his family.
Yeah.
It drives him.
It's a big motivator for him.
Yeah.
And it raises the question, can you ever truly escape your past?
That's one of the big themes of the book, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
How does your past shape who you become?
Right.
Yeah.
And whether or not you can ever truly move on from it.
But as he starts, delving into the mystery surrounding the Chandrian,
Yeah.
he starts to attract attention.
Right. From some powerful people.
Some dangerous people.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Ilodin.
Ugh.
Ilodin, the master namer.
He's
a very eccentric character.
I don't even know how to describe him.
He's hard to pin down.
Yeah, he's like a Zen master who teaches by pushing you off a cliff.
Yeah, he's very unconventional.
Yes.
Yes.
In his methods.
But Kvothe, he embraces it.
Of course he does.
Because he's always up for a challenge.
Right.
Right. But Ilodin warns him,
Yeah, he says, there are dangers in knowing things.
Yeah.
Which is a very ominous warning.
Very much so.
And it turns out to be true.
Yeah, because Kvothe's learning to play with fire.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
When he calls the name of the wind.
That's a pivotal moment.
So much power.
Yeah.
Right.
You can really feel the raw energy in that scene.
It's incredible. But we all know, that kind of power doesn't come without consequences.
There's always a price to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he opened a Pandora's box.
And he can't close it. So we left off with Kvothe calling the name of the wind.
Right.
An act of incredible power, obviously, but one that landed him in some trouble.
Definitely, yeah.
And set the stage for some serious consequences.
Right.
Because you can't unleash that kind of raw magic without repercussions.
Exactly. It's like disrupting the natural order of things.
And you have to wonder, how did that moment of seeming limitless potential
Right.
lead to the Kvothe that we see at the beginning of the book.
The defeated innkeeper.
Right, because he's telling this story, from this place of apparent defeat, right? He's stripped of his magic and he's living this quiet life.
Right.
And so how did that happen?
It's the big question that we're waiting to have answered.
And as he continues to tell his story, you start to see these cracks forming in his facade.
Right. Like little hints of regret
Yeah.
and darkness that
Yeah.
suggest maybe things didn't go so well for him
Right.
after he left the university.
Yeah, like when he refuses to use his name.
Right. Like it's a burden to him.
Or he winces when people bring up his past exploits.
Yeah.
It's like there's some deep wound there
Right.
that hasn't healed.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it reminds you that Kvothe is not just a storyteller.
Right.
He's a human being
Yeah.
with real emotions and a past that haunts him.
Yeah, exactly.
And that past is catching up to him in the present.
Right, when he's attacked by
Yeah.
those assassins.
Yeah.
He could have gone to the masters for protection,
Right.
but that's not his style.
No. He's too independent.
He wants to solve his own problems.
Yeah.
But in doing so, he kind of puts himself in more danger.
Right.
Right? He reveals more of what he's capable of.
And that attracts unwanted attention.
Yeah. Which brings us to Eladin,
Ah, the master name.
the wild card.
Yeah, he's both a mentor to Kvothe and also a cautionary tale.
Yeah, he teaches Kvothe about the power of names.
Yeah, but he also warns him about the dangers.
Yeah, he's like, there's a dark side to this magic.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Kvothe doesn't always heed those warnings.
No, he's too eager to learn,
Yeah,
too ambitious.
He wants to know everything.
Yeah.
And he's driven by, not just his thirst for knowledge, but also this need for recognition.
Right. He wants to prove himself
Yeah.
to the world.
Maybe even to himself.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that.
And so he makes these choices
Right.
that, have some pretty significant consequences.
Yeah.
And ultimately, lead to his downfall.
It's a classic tragic hero story.
Yeah. He's got all this potential,
Right.
but his flaws ultimately bring him down.
His own worst enemy.
And I think it makes you wonder, what could have been different?
Yeah.
If he had made other choices.
What if he had listened to Eladin's warnings? What if he had, controlled his temper? There's so many what ifs.
Yeah. So many what ifs.
Yeah.
But I guess that's part of what makes this story so compelling.
Right. It leaves you wanting more.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're still waiting for that third book
We are.
to get some of those answers.
Hopefully someday.
Someday, yeah.
Yeah.
But until then, we have The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear to revisit and to enjoy.
And to analyze.
And to analyze and to discuss.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack
There really is
in those books.
so much depth.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into The Name of the Wind.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a lot of fun.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Bookercast. We hope you enjoyed diving into it as much as we did. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts on this episode.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and share this episode with your fellow book lovers. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. See you in the next deep dive. Bye for now, and happy reading.